Well, the box office numbers for Cineplex hit new highs for the first 10 days of April, and that was helped by the new Super Mario movie. Joining us now to dive deeper into what is driving this momentum is Jamie Lumley, senior analyst at Third Bridge. Jamie, thanks so much for making time for us today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So this seems like some, new excitement in the movie industry when it comes to Super Mario kind of giving a boost to theaters that have needed it, right?
Definitely looking at these numbers for the beginning of April, it is certainly encouraging because across the industry, it's definitely been a challenging past few years in dealing with this pandemic and post-pandemic environment. Looking, as you highlighted, at films such as Super Mario movie, also the John Wick film as well, and a couple other major releases in 2023 have really gotten things off and running for the box office. That being said, I do think it's worth mentioning that as we look at this time period, it is only 10 days, certainly hoping that for these players we'll continue to see that sort of box office, but at the same time there are still some clouds in the sky when looking at this industry. Based off of the conversations we've had with experts, overall for the North American box office, expectations are roughly that it'll be flat versus 2022 in terms of about a 70 to 80% run rate on those box office totals. But at the same time, there is some reason to be optimistic when looking at a number of the major titles coming down the pipe. This summer, there's some major releases for major franchises, and looking at Fast and Furious, more coming out of Marvel, as well as a couple other high-flying sequels as well. So potentially the signs of a good season for theater owner-operators like Cineplex has been showing us for these past week or two.
Yeah, when we're looking at Cineplex, how does the box office activity now, even in this exciting time for them, at least these first 10 days of the month here, how does it compare to pre-pandemic levels? Are we back at that point yet?
Well, in looking at 2019, which is in general the benchmark that people are comparing to, it has exceeded it within that 10-day time frame. However, what's important to look at is, of course, we're coming off the back of Q1, where for 3 months, Cineplex was coming in well below where it was in 2019. Looking at January, February, it was in the high 80% range, March in the 60% range based off of 2019 levels. So as a whole for the year, there's still definitely some ground to make up, but for Cineplex, we'll be reaching those levels it saw in 2019. One thing which is worth keeping in mind is 2019, while in general the comparison year was a banner year for the industry after a couple of years of building up for a couple of major franchises and seeing the conclusion of Marvel, seeing the conclusion of Star Wars and a couple of major story arcs. So it is comparing versus a high bar. But right now, considering the strong start to April, it is exceeding a period of relatively strong box office performance in 2019. So there's definitely cause to be encouraged by that. And it'll be really interesting to see as we get into the very important seasons for theaters being late spring into summer, how that momentum continues and really how these films continue to perform within that key time frame.
What do you think is holding back attendance at this point? To getting back to those levels. I know you said it was a blockbuster year for 2019, but just a more normalized level for attendance.
So in looking at attendance, there are definitely a number of factors at play here. I think that it's important to highlight, and one of the things we've heard so much from our experts is just the impact that streaming has had on the space and having low-cost alternative forms of entertainment where people don't necessarily need to leave the home and pay for an increasingly expensive experience either through ticket sales or concessions and have a comparable thing. What is encouraging based off of these results is it does seem that there is still an appetite from consumers to be returning to theaters. And really getting people in seats is the biggest challenge that Cineplex and the other players out there have right now. There's partly, of course, the rise in streaming. There's also just the change in habits and leisure time as a result from the pandemic. So what Cineplex can do and other players can do as well to really get people into theaters is the biggest task they have in front of them. We've certainly seen this rise in having premium experiences, really enhancing theaters, theaters, having more comfortable seating, focusing on loyalty programs, and really making it as seamless as possible to get people in theaters and plan that sort of outing. And really the question to see is, particularly if there is an ongoing recessionary environment or some more macroeconomic trouble within that backdrop, how that will be impacting people's behavior and whether or not they will continue to return to the theater as we've seen in the beginning of April.
There's some other, well-known stocks that are watched, AMC, Cineworld in the U.S. What has the comeback been like for those theaters, more so in the U.S. market?
So looking at the U.S., they definitely have been facing their fair share of challenges. Certainly with Cineworld is coming off of its bankruptcy filing at the end of last year, which has really made it challenging for them with an operating environment to necessarily change things too much than their theaters, either through investment in new properties, enhancing experience there. And AMC is also facing ongoing struggles when it comes to their balance sheet health and their ability to really invest in the theaters that they do have. So one thing which I think you could say across these different theaters is that they are all facing a relatively strong pipeline when it comes to movies coming the next few months. But at the same time, they've also been facing ongoing challenges in really getting people to return to theaters. There's already been substantial movement in terms of raising prices for concessions and also ticket sales. And we've been hearing from our experts that there's only so much more headroom when it comes to raising up those prices. And that also does have a direct impact on consumers, weighing whether or not a $15 movie ticket is worth it when you could get a comparable streaming service for that amount, perhaps half that much, and have access to so much more content. So questions around pricing remain there as well, and also ongoing experiments with loyalty programs. AMC has certainly been at the forefront in experimenting with different ways to get people to theaters with AMC Stubs, AMC Plus, et cetera. And whether or not those will really significantly move the needle when it comes to bringing people back into the theaters is a bit yet to be seen. It will be interesting to see what other dynamics they have around experimenting with where people can sit within theaters, dynamic pricing, because ultimately the big question is, how do you get audiences back when there are so many other entertainment options and the pricing has continued to go up for tickets and concessions?